if you're quick with the scan, you can scan this QR code right here for the POAP. There'll be another opportunity to scan it at the end of the call, though, so don't worry if you're not ready. All right, so let's dive in. Let's kick off this tokenomics workstream. So we're going to do introductions, give everyone who's interested in contributing actively to this workstream the opportunity to introduce themselves. We're going to talk about the tokenomics workstream's mission, goals, and KPIs. Every workstream that gets proposed and requests funding should have these. We're going to talk about some of the immediate priorities for the tokenomics workstream. We're going to do a quick high-level vision for Fox as it currently stands, but going forward, this vision will be evolved by the workstream. We're going to talk about payments for contributing to this workstream and how that works, next steps, and then hopefully at the end we'll have time for open Q&A. All right, I'm going to take this question out so we have more time. So for intros, we're going to start by giving our name, favorite crypto, how you'd like to contribute, full-time, part-time, informally, or still deciding, and then what you hope to get out of today's meeting. Because we have a lot of attendees that are just speculating and we have limited time, I'm going to ask that only people who are interested in actively contributing to this workstream introduce themselves. And because we're not sure who's interested and who's not interested, please just dive in after somebody introduces themselves. Just first come, first serve. And we got 20 minutes tops for this before we move on. So I'll start. My name is Willie. My favorite cryptocurrency is Ethereum. I like a lot of them, but Ethereum is probably my favorite. I'm rocking an ETH shirt today. I would like to contribute informally to this work stream. Tokenomics is something I'm super passionate about. I would definitely like to contribute, but I'm recognizing that I'm gonna be pretty busy working with the foundation, leading the decentralization efforts. So I want to help get this work stream up and running and get it going, and then maybe contribute informally going forward. Definitely participate in discussions in the forum and in the governance process, but hopefully can hand it off to some awesome foxes to carry this workstream forward. So today I hope to meet all of you guys, get this workstream kicked off, and talk about the immediate priorities, and then hopefully meet some people I can start transitioning leadership of this workstream to. All right, and whoever's next, please jump in.
Hey, this is
Muhammad from Malaysia. Yep. So my favorite crypto is Bitcoin, and now trying to learn about Rune. Then how would I like to contribute? I would like to contribute full time, promoting Shapeshift in Malaysia. So what I would like to get out of today is learning more about the tokenomics and how it will be possible to promote it in Malaysia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Marley. I currently have a proposal up for some proof of work or proof of stake validators in the tokenomics workstream. My favorite crypto is Dogecoin, and it has been for a long time, not just because Elon's been tweeting about it. Otherwise, it's probably ETH because there's some cool stuff you can do on there. I would like to contribute probably part-time. We'll see kind of how that works, and I'm just hoping to get more information out of today's meeting and talk about my proposal maybe.
Thanks, Marley.
LPX again. Yeah, I have a bunch of ideas on, I guess, external or third party, I guess, revenue streams. And yeah, since the ultimate goal of the DAO is to make money, I think whatever work stream you're in, tokenomics should always be at the center. That's it.
Well said. Totally agree that the tokenomics workstream is kind of overarching, and ultimately all of these workstreams should be contributing to the DAO's goals of growing revenues either directly or indirectly.
Okay. Hi, this is Kiran over here. Currently, I'm working towards implementing some of the Cardano stuff, and Cardano is my favorite as of now. I would be interested in Fox tokenomics, and I would be able to willing to contribute either part-time or informally because of my other projects that are going on currently. But I have few ideas and have some plans for proposals. But I would like to take it once based upon how Workstream goes forward.
Awesome. Thank you. Looking forward to hearing your ideas. Any other interested contributors?
But my name is John, current former co-founder of Shapeshift and current chief product officer. I am interested to contribute to this work stream however I can, not looking for a full or part-time role, but will probably contribute informally and in discussions however I can.
Awesome. Thanks, John. And I'll go ahead. That reminds me too. Right now, I don't have any full-time roles envisioned for this work stream. I think we do have some immediate needs, but I think that those will be better handled just as bounties than as full-time or even part-time roles. But curious to hear all of your thoughts there, and not saying that there can never be full-time positions for the work stream. Just didn't see the immediate need for it now, but TBD. Any others on the call? I know there were quite a few people that expressed interest in the forum. All right. I'll take that as a sign. Oh, go ahead. I heard someone unmute.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm in an airport right now, so I have to keep this brief. And I'm interested in contributing from a security perspective. I know, a great surprise. That's what I would be focused on. But I think it's very important that as we move into this glorious DeFi future, we make sure that we fully examine the incentive structures that we're creating and mitigate risks that come up. So I think that security and tokenomics go hand in hand, and I'm looking forward to being a resource for everyone in this work stream.
Awesome. Thanks, Mr. Nerder. Glad your security mind is interested in contributing. Thanks for joining from the airport. All right. So we'll start by talking about the mission for the Tokenomics Workstream. This is the draft mission. Ultimately, anyone who's interested in contributing can help refine this. But to start, our mission is to define and execute the optimal token roadmap for achieving the mission and goals of the Shapeshift DAO. Our goals for this are to curate and propose a token roadmap based on research, community feedback, and informed vision that aligns with the mission and goals of the Shapeshift DAO. Provide specifications, including goals and success metrics for all tokenomic initiatives prioritized by the Shapeshift DAO. Represent the Fox token workstream and act as a repository of knowledge. And ensure the execution of prioritized initiatives on time, on or under budget, and according to the acceptance criteria defined in each spec. The community will be able to know if we're successful with these metrics, whether we are able to define and propose initiatives that are accepted and funded by the community, if we can deliver on time, on or under budget, and according to those acceptance criteria defined in each spec. The KPIs specified in each initiative are tracked and reported to the community. And ultimately, if the DAO's revenues grow, that'll be the best metric for our success. All right, I want to talk a little bit about the vision for Fox. This is a slide from a presentation I gave at the Ethereum Magicians Conference in Paris a few weeks ago. And it was all about building a future without fees. So you can, I'll share the link to the full chat if you're interested in diving deeper. But the core of it, we talked about a revenue model that I think will work great for the Shapeshift DAO that doesn't require adding fees on top of these protocols. So a lot of these different protocols that Shapeshift is interested in integrating offer affiliate revenue programs. And what that means is that if Shapeshift users use these protocols, and all these protocols have revenue models built in. So like, for instance, Yearn charges 2% management and 20% of the carry of the performance for all of their vaults. And they offer an affiliate revenue program. So if Shapeshift integrates Yearn, which there's a proposal in the forum for this right now, then when a Shapeshift user deposits into Yearn, we don't have to charge any extra fees on top of that. We can give users the same interest rate they would get if they were to go directly to Yearn. And Yearn will give us up to 50% of the revenue generated from Shapeshift users. So not only can we offer this protocol and this feature to users in a way that doesn't cost extra, but we also can use Fox as an incentive to bootstrap these network effects. And other protocols have proven how effective this can be. DeFi users really care about getting the best yield. And there's evidence when SushiSwap launched, they were able to steal over half of the liquidity that was locked in Uniswap in the matter of 1 week. And the reason for that was because of token incentives. They made it more lucrative for liquidity providers to migrate their liquidity to SushiSwap to get sushi tokens. We can do something similar here, where a Shapeshift user can use these DeFi protocols that offer affiliate revenue programs. The Shapeshift DAO can generate revenue, and then the user can earn Fox. And by doing this, we can be the best way, objectively, to use any of these different protocols. This, I think, is a much more powerful model than just charging fees on top of these protocols. Again, users can access these protocols from a variety of interfaces, and especially as an open source interface, this would create a pretty easy opportunity for someone to just fork our interface and charge slightly lower fees. But if we can charge no fees, here are some examples of all of these different protocols that already offer these affiliate revenue programs. So things like trading, earning yield, buying and selling NFTs, buying and selling crypto, even buying swag, really anything that you can imagine that a crypto user would want to do. There's opportunity for affiliate revenue programs, which means that we can give users access to these different features in a way that doesn't cost them anything extra. The DAO can generate revenue, and we can, be the best way for users to do any of these things by offering them some Fox incentives. And if we do this, we can create some really powerful network effects that can't be forked. We attract more users, and users, again, are very attracted to getting the best rate. And as we attract more users, then any protocol that wants access to DeFi power users is going to be very compelled to integrate with Shapeshift and to offer this affiliate revenue model, because then they will get exposure to our users, and we can incentivize our users to use their protocol with some Fox tokens. And this creates some really strong network effects that just cannot simply be forked. So that's a high-level vision of overview of the Shapeshift Fox token vision as it currently stands. But going forward, the future of Fox is really up to this workstream and up to the Shapeshift DAO community. So we have some immediate priorities for this workstream. I think the first priority is going to be around coming up with the next liquidity mining program. This could be multiple programs. But right now, liquidity mining has been pretty successful so far. It's on Uniswap v2. Well, but as it currently stands, that program will end mid-October. And I think it's going to be valuable for the Tokenomics Workstream to propose additional liquidity mining programs so that there's still an incentive for users to provide liquidity, and we don't go from having a healthy incentive like there is right now to zero incentive, because if that did happen, we might end up losing a lot of the liquidity we currently have. And that liquidity is super valuable and essential to a decentralized project like Shapeshift. So we're already in talks with Bancor and SushiSwap, and in the early discussions with HoneySwap around some liquidity mining programs with their protocols. These are interesting because these protocols are interested in offering their own tokens as incentives for Fox liquidity. So we could offer rewards with some Fox, but we don't have to be the only people who are incentivizing this. And really awesome to have these top protocols interested in taking some of their tokens and using them as an incentive to attract Fox liquidity. Bancor is also an interesting one because they offer single-sided staking. And I'll pause real quick. I'll show this one example. This is Ethereum push notification service. They right now offer two pools. You can either provide push and ETH liquidity and get 114% APR, or you can just stake your push tokens and get 36% APR. And as you can see, at a price of about $2, about $7 million of the $9.5 million that is locked is in this single sided staking pool, even though there's a significantly lower APR. So this does show that there's a lot of interest in single sided staking, and that we can probably get more liquidity with lower rewards if we offer this single sided staking opportunity. Another priority is around Treasury diversification. So these are kind of already happening outside of the tokenomics workstream. This is a great opportunity for the tokenomics workstream to add value. And so we're looking at range tokens with UMA, which would be a way for the Treasury to get some stable coins. Also looking at OneFox, which should basically be the way for the Treasury to have for the Shapeshift DAO to have our own stable coin that's backed by a mixture of USDC and Fox. And then potentially some other ideas around Treasury diversification. These are the immediate priorities, and then in the future, here are some examples of other priorities. For Fox in the DeFi world, right now there's nowhere where you can borrow or lend Fox, but that's kind of an obvious thing that I would love to see become a reality. Also, Fox liquidity on other chains, like Polygon, for instance. Right now there is Fox on XDAI, but there's no liquidity for it. And then, other ideas that the workstream has. And then just managing and evolving the existing Fox rewards program. So right now you can earn Fox back when you trade. You can earn rainfall rewards by holding Fox when other users trade. And then you can get a reimbursement on your gas costs on trades based on the amount of Fox you hold. It'll be this workstream's responsibility to maintain and evolve those rewards programs and also decentralize them. Right now, these rewards programs rely on a lot of centralized Shapeshift infrastructure. We have some tentative ideas for how this can be decentralized and managed with smart contracts as opposed to a Shapeshift hot wallet and servers and databases. But that's just a tentative idea, and ultimately it'll be up to this workstream to decide the best path forward.
One thing I'd love to add on just as an idea to this is this isn't needed yet, but in the upcoming priorities that I think this tokenomics workstream would be well positioned to help with is kind of I've seen other DAOs refer to it as like meta yield farming, but basically when the DAO has either stablecoin and or Fox becomes something that can be lent out to earn interest, I think this workstream should definitely focus on what to do with Treasury in that sense. Meaning, like, if the Treasury has stablecoin, maybe some percentage of that stablecoin should actually be earning interest for the DAO and things like that.
Yes, great point. I totally agree. We got a lot of Fox in the Treasury, and hopefully we'll have more assets in the Treasury soon. And yeah, in this new DeFi world, if you have assets sitting idly, then you're missing out on an opportunity. So really excited to see how we can put this Treasury to work. Cool. So for these liquidity mining specs, if anyone's interested in taking these on, we could use specs for Bancor, SushiSwap. Someone needs to decide if we want to continue doing, or this workstream needs to decide if we should continue doing liquidity mining on Uniswap v2, where it currently is, or maybe we should consider Uniswap v3, as well as HoneySwap. So I would love to see specs for each of these programs that include the protocol, the amount of Fox to reward, the length of distribution. So for example, we're rewarding 15 point something million Fox over 3 months for this Uniswap v2 program right now. Target liquidity, so how much liquidity we expect or we hope will be added to that protocol based on this program. And then the target APR, so based on the target liquidity and the amount of Fox and the length of the distribution, what APR does that translate to? And then just motivation and benefits. So why does it make sense for the DAO to fund a liquidity mining program on this protocol, especially relative to the other programs that we're already funding? Here's an example model. This is what we use for the current liquidity mining program. So it doesn't have to look exactly like this, but this is a model that we did use to be able to estimate and figure out how much Fox should we reward for this initial liquidity mining program. And we created it with, we had a pessimistic as well as an optimistic scenario, and then kind of a baseline scenario. So we could see, okay, worst case, what is this APY going to be? And in best case, what is it going to be? Right. So payments for the Tokenomics Workstream, as I mentioned earlier, I don't think we need any full-time roles right now, but I'm open to hearing other thoughts there. For now, I think we should just do some bounties. So I think some of the first bounties we'll have are bounties to create these liquidity mining specs and proposals. These bounties will be paid in Fox, although they can also be denominated in dollars. And then the payments will happen on Colony. So whenever you contribute to the Tokenomics Workstream and get paid for it, you will be earning reputation in the Shapeshift colony. So the next steps here, if you are interested in contributing, please DM me along with capacity and details. So, and specifically, if you're interested in taking on any of these liquidity mining proposals, please include that. And then next step here will be to get a proposal into the forum around funding this workstream. So I'm curious to hear how much funding we think will be necessary specifically for these immediate priorities. How much we think we should reward for creating each of these specs. Haven't decided that yet, but I'm thinking somewhere, I don't know, like 5 to 10K worth of crypto with a Fox for each of these different specs. It's kind of an initial thought. And then once we've figured that out, we will make a proposal to fund the Tokenomics Workstream, and then we'll DAO it. We will proceed with creating these liquidity mining specs and make proposals to the DAO to fund each of those liquidity mining initiatives that we decide to make sense to proceed with.
When you said 5 to 10K, was that for the bounty or for the project itself?
That's just for the bounty. So
okay, yeah. I was thinking more like 5 to 10 million Fox for the project. So cool. But
yes,
yeah,
great point.
Thank you.
Thank you. And also, once you DM me, we'll get some channels set up in the Discord. We'll have a public Tokenomics Workstream channel where only people who are part of the workstream can actually post in there, but anyone can read. And then we'll have a private channel for the workstream as well. All right, and then now I want to stop and open it up for QA, and also give everyone an opportunity to scan this QR code and get their Pro app. Any questions?
So I'm curious about the leader. I could see this being full-time, maybe the only current one if there was a workstream leader. Because I don't know, I just see this as one of the most critical work streams for the community, and like especially just how many proposals have popped up. So many have already come through here, and almost feel like they're stalling out. And I'd like to get some of them moving again, like especially the range tokens and Bancor is super interesting. So I guess that's more of a thought than a question.
Yeah, I definitely hear you, and I would be open to that work. I think that workstream leader position will probably be the first full-time position for this workstream. And so yeah, if anyone is interested in taking that on and has capacity, then please DM me. I guess we'll see if there's anyone interested in taking it on. And then if we do have people interested, we could definitely consider that. If not, I think at least creating some bounties around these will help speed things up, even if we don't have a leader yet. Any other questions? Marley, do you want to talk a little bit about your validator proposal?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'd love to actually. So yeah, I've been working on Shapeshift validators for several years now, and so I'm just I've learned a lot, and I'm pretty attached to them at this point. And I'd love to keep doing that professionally. I'm working on doing a startup with some other Foxes already to focus on these. And the idea for what I have on the forum right now is a diversified income model. I think it's crucial for the DAO Treasury to not just be 100% Fox. Totally admit there's other things going through there like the range token, etc. So it's not like this is the only idea, but I really like what we've been able to do on Cosmos with pretty much just running it as is without really publicizing it or incentivizing it for others. So I'd like to see what the proposal is proposing is like an income share for the commission that's earned on those. So like usually I can talk to what we did last year, and last year we earned about $250,000 in atoms. Some of that was from the validator itself having its own atoms, and some was from staking. And so yeah, I'd love to see that continue. And I'm proposing like a 70-30 revenue share model where the DAO gets most of the income, and it's mostly to cover overhead and legal things. One thing I've definitely learned from like Eric and the other executives is lawyers are expensive but important. So I definitely am trying to do everything as correctly as possible. So yeah, I don't know if anyone's really tried anything like this. That's kind of most of the legal people I've talked to are like, this is cool, but I don't know. So yeah, any questions there? It's a pretty big topic.
Yeah, is there some more information pertaining to what the validator is?
Yeah, so the detail, like, so the proposal's up right now on the forum. I can post that in general again. What we're currently operating, I think I can say this. Is John here, or see Eric is? Which one it is? We've been doing it like anonymously because we didn't really have the bandwidth for like legal to go through and approve it all. It's in the top 50, I can say at least. I don't know. I'll probably post in there if I can. Does that make sense? I can also say we're running the Portis validator on XDAI. That one's public. That one's easier to say. That one's super profitable, really interesting tech. Also, big fan of XDAI, and that one's actually like really crushing it for how much capital has been invested in it. And
it's validating transactions on a blockchain.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I can give a higher level. So yeah. No, that's fair. I kind of just launched in. What I'm describing is the proof of stake validation model, where chains like Atoms or XDAI, where instead of doing like really complex math as quickly as possible on Bitcoin, you're trying to move the blockchain forward by you have some delegation or some stake in the game, where if you are a bad actor, you can get slashed and lose some of that.
Right.
Yeah. So when a lot of like one of the things I love about this is a lot of the criticism is like, oh, Bitcoin's inefficient and like it's killing trees, and that's like even what Elon's gotten back to. These chains are really trying to solve that. Like you could run a Cosmos validator on Raspberry Pi, probably not recommended, but totally possible, instead of a warehouse full of graphics cards. So
yeah, no, I was really early on Cosmos, like probably whenever they were first starting. I actually ran a validator node on their test network before they even launched the initial blockchain. So like I'm real familiar with the terms, but like I'm just kind of wondering in relation to like Fox. You're saying a Fox validator.
Sorry, keep going. I'm listening.
Yeah, I was supposed to say my audio just got real dirty real quick.
Yeah.
But I'm familiar with what the validators are, but you're talking about a Fox validator specifically, and I was just kind of wondering, is y'all are launching one for the DAO that is a validator in a particular network or multiple networks, or like I'm just trying to understand, that aspect of it.
Yeah, totally. So the current proposal is like just scoped to Cosmos.
Okay.
I definitely would love to do more. I'm trying to do a slow roll instead of like, hey, I want 10 million tokens to go do everything. That's not realistic. I thought that the nice thing about this current proposal is it's scoped small to just Cosmos and have a lot of expertise there already. So yeah.
I mean, whenever I was doing the test network, like the infrastructure that they were suggesting to run a validator node on was pretty extensive.
Yeah.
Like multiple core CPU, cloud, cloud base, but I was of course doing this test network on my laptop. So I mean, like you can run it, but the security implications of maybe a validator node being compromised is increased if you're not in a network that's set up and established with somebody that has expertise in security protocols.
Totally.
So that was kind of like I'm kind of approaching it from a technical question as opposed to like what it is.
Totally. Yeah.
And
so I could go
who's executing that on y'all side? Or
yeah. So my background is like server infrastructure at university level, so running like 20,000 servers at a time. My partner is a security engineer, and it's kind of fallen onto the IT and security team at Shapeshift. We are running with what you're describing as the Sentry Nodes. So you've kind of got this layer of a layer of protection where what's actually communicating with the rest of the network is these sentries. And those are kind of locked down, just cloud boxes. And then the thing that's signing blocks only talks to those sentries. And it's in a data center, and I'm on bare metal just because I'm a fan of it. It's kind of inefficient at this point, and doing some other a lot of hardening on those boxes and using hardware signers. So I can go into the specs pretty deep if you're.
Okay, no. Like I was just wondering, I just questions.
No, they're great questions. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think also those are great questions. I think it helps to clarify too, kind of the user story here, and basically what this will enable Shapeshift users to do is to stake Cosmos, eventually possibly other proof of stake currencies as well. But initially Cosmos, Shapeshift users will be able to stake it and get yield on their Cosmos, and then the Shapeshift DAO will generate revenue. And then something the Tokenomics Workstream can decide is, should we offer an additional Fox incentive? Should users who stake Cosmos through Shapeshift earn Fox for doing that? And that'll be a question for the Tokenomics Workstream to decide.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and thank you. That's good perspective. That's scoped outside of my project. I think that's more on the decision of the DAO of like you want to incentivize and like how do you track Cosmos addresses on ETH and reward them in ETH. That's kind of complicated, but I mean it's totally possible. Just to get it started, I just want to get the income share rolling, kind of thing.
One of the first things that the Tokenomics Workstream will want to decide is just like, does it support this proposal that Marley has put up or not? And do we want to do something like make this validator the default validator for anyone staking atoms through Shapeshift? Because it'll automatically basically return, at least as his proposal currently states, 70% of all of its revenue to the DAO. So it could instantly turn into a revenue stream. And like you said, Willie, Fox incentives on top of it is something else that could be considered, but it's not necessary just to move this forward and create a revenue stream for the DAO, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, if you're already earning yield on Cosmos, you might as well do it in a way that supports the DAO. Is really the like one line sentence that I'm trying to come up with.
I agree. That's a good point. The Fox rewards and stuff can come at a later date, but does not need to be a barrier to getting this going ASAP.
Totally. I would love to see that.
I think a validator is definitely a good income stream opportunity and possibility for the DAO. So, but I think one running on Osmosis or any other Cosmos chain, they have one that's called Akash.
Akash is
I think Kickoff is going to end up being something. It's kind of one of those ground floor opportunities to where those being kind of like the staple tech companies that are leading the SP 500, that could be one of the organizations. Will it ever compete at that level? I don't know, but it could definitely attract a large market share, and running a validator even on their network would make sense to me. But
yeah.
No, that's a great point. I guess I'd just add on that, I'm in support of the current proposal. I like the idea of just getting going with Cosmos because we already have infrastructure set up for it. So Marley could get it going really fast. With the Osmosis proposal that just passed, one of the specs of that is adding Osmosis staking. We don't know what validators, we would give Shapeshift users access to stake, whether it's all of them or create a default. But if this proposal went well and we had the Cosmos staking set up, I would totally support this same group basically setting up an Osmosis validator to do the same thing, or the same thing for Akash, etc. I don't see any reason they couldn't expand it, and I would definitely support that because you can just create that many more opportunities both for users to earn yield and that many more opportunities for the DAO to earn additional revenue streams. So I'd love to see that.
And they're very, very similar. They're all forks they're all Tendermint based and Cosmos SDK based. So I've run on Osmosis personally and MicroTick, which are both very, very similar. And so it's yeah, totally possible. I'm really interested in exploring other chains too, like Cardano and XDAI, et cetera. So yeah, there's a lot of room. And this is just kind of like the let's get going mode.
So what is the barrier to having a Fox chain that performs a lot of the same AMM or swap functions as being validated on another chain?
It sounds like a proposal. Yeah, it's totally possible. I definitely could see how that would work. I don't know. We'd have to come up with a good value proposition on why, but I'm sure we could. Like,
well,
totally
I mean, the value proposition is, you know, all these other networks, they're taking a fee, and this whole fee thing is kind of based upon that understanding. I mean, I understand why you don't want to implement another fee to users whenever there's already a base fee from the base app, but providing an interface to me and kind of how I've approached some of the conversation is, and I'm not going to say that I was assuming that that was what the goal was or the plan was to, you know, set up, I guess, what do they call it? Cosmos hub or something. I mean, it's not the hub, but a zone is what they call it. You know, if you set up a Cosmos zone that was specifically for Fox and performed kind of the same kind of functionality, then that whole fee thing kind of falls into place. And if you have a large user base that is, you know, using your hub or zone as opposed to somebody else's zone, you know, that's kind of how that part of the conversation plays out.
I also think we're trying to be chain agnostic too, and integrate all the things. So I think that's the only other counterpoint. But I totally get where you're at.
But isn't that the whole point of IBC?
Yeah, that is definitely the whole point of IBC, is to help connect these chains. It's not. I wouldn't say that we necessarily need IBC to be an interface to all of these different chains, but I'd certainly be open to it. I think that's like there's a perfect example of the types of decisions that the Tokenomics Workstream should explore. It could very much be like BNB, for instance, started as an ERC20 token, and it was a way to waive fees on Binance trades, and then it ended up evolving into the native asset of its own blockchain. So, which was a Cosmos Tendermint SDK chain. So, definitely possible. I think right now, I think.
What were you just saying? That Binance evolved into Cosmos SDK?
But you know, Binance chain is a fork of Tendermint.
Yeah, they use the SDK to build Binance, right?
Totally.
Yeah,
so just giving an example of how, you know, maybe Fox takes a similar path, but I wouldn't say it's a requirement. I don't think necessarily we need to have our own Fox chain, and so I'd just be curious to hear thoughts around it and what the motivation and benefits to the DAO would be.
Yeah, no, I was just kind of trying to gauge where y'all's thoughts were in that kind of direction. That's kind of my interest.
I think part of what the engineering workstream is figuring out right now is what will the future decentralized Shapeshift look like, and part of that is figuring out, you know, is there going to be a network of node providers, people who are running nodes for all these different blockchains that can provide blockchain data to our users, and do we need that, and if we do need that, how do we incentivize that? Do we use something like a Kosh, or do we have our own incentive network? And so maybe that decision could help inform whether or not it makes sense to have a Fox chain.
Well, I mean, I think that's the reason for IBC is the interchain communication, and the interface and the packets that are sent from one chain to the other have a clearly defined interface to make that connection and exchange of information, whether it be token or some other type of message relay.
Totally. But there's also projects like Thorchain and like Osmosis that are, like you mentioned, like AMM. Does it make sense for Shapeshift to solve that on the protocol level? Maybe it does. But at the same time, too, you can make the argument that it makes sense for Shapeshift just to focus on being the interface to all these different protocols and integrating the top protocols on all these different chains and integrating the bridges that the bridge protocols between these chains. We don't necessarily need to provide that ourselves, and we could potentially benefit more just by focusing on being the interface. That said, all this stuff, you know, it's all up to the token holders and to the work streams to decide what the best path forward is. So none of that stuff is off the table.
And another continuation of that statement is, what are the objectives for providing that type of interface functionality natively through these different chains? Like that's the other aspect of that sometimes in trying to assess what the objectives are, it's difficult to make any clear differentiation between what some other platform is doing and what service, value added service, is being provided by using the interface that you're proposing. If that makes sense.
Sort of. Do you mind expanding a little bit?
Basically like Harvest Finance, for example, they provide an interface for their users to farm on several different protocols. And they provide an incentive with their governance token and a revenue share that makes it beneficial to have their token as opposed to using just a stable coin, for example. Now, if you were to provide some type of incentive into their protocol to where they share 50% of the revenue in this partnership type program situation or scenario, and you don't get the added benefit of the revenue share from the Harvest token or whatnot, then making a differentiation between Harvest as a partner and using the platform natively, like there's some type of comparisons there that like it's just unclear how the specification or how the interface really performs. Like, what is the real performance in APY and value through the entire ecosystem? Does that make sense?
I think it makes sense. And we have product team has mockups for what this could look like, where a Shapeshift user can come to Shapeshift and they can see the opportunities to earn yield on a variety of different protocols and a variety of different chains. So that could be like, oh, you stake atoms and earn 10% interest on your Cosmos. Or provide USDC to a Yearn vault and earn X% interest on your USDC, or provide ETH and USDC to a liquidity pool and stake it here for farming and get this APY, or provide this asset through Harvest for this APY, and it could be a mixture of different coins. Really, like what we're building is what we're envisioning building is the interface, one interface that gives users access to all of these different protocols on all the different chains without extra fees, and ideally with some Fox incentive to do that.
And I kind of think that's what, and it's really the same as adding a Harvest incentive or a Yearn incentive, or like I get the gist of it, but like I don't understand the back end. How are you going to be getting the special yield for those specific chains as well, or are they just going to give you 50% of the yield from the chain that you're on? Like, I understand all the separation of concerns and the different investment opportunities and the interface to that, but I don't think that it's unique in its execution. I think Osmosis will end up doing a lot of that, not only with chains native to Cosmos, but also other DeFi platforms that they integrate with. I think the same thing's true with Thorchain, and it's just kind of confusing. For me, like, I'm not confused about it, don't get me wrong, but I'm confused on what the value added situation is in comparison to if I use these other platforms natively, what is the value there?
Yeah. I think
Go ahead.
the things we want to do is be the gateway to all of those, and so you can aggregate it. And if you look at, like, if you're doing DEX trades right now, you get Fox back. And so we'll cover the gas with Fox fuel that you spent on the ETH trade. That, like, we'll cover that with Fox, so you also get the Fox returns, and then you also get the benefit of earning the governance tokens by doing that. So not only are you getting Fox back for your gas, but you're also now have access to participate in the DAO and the Treasury. And when the DAO is diversified and there's more income and different tokens, like, that should make it more appealing to participate. And that's how I think about it, at least.
I think that's right. And if I can add to that too, so you mentioned Osmosis and Thorchain. I don't think that either Osmosis or Thorchain are focused on giving users access to other protocols. They're very much focused on their own protocol, right? And so Shapeshift, like already there's an example of how here's two, competing protocols, or, I want to say competing because they're in some ways complementary, as well as, a whole world of different protocols on different chains that are interesting, right? And Shapeshift, I don't know, like we could provide our own protocols potentially, but at the same time, there is a need for a decentralized open source interface that's multi-chain that gives users access to all these different protocols. And we've already talked to the Osmosis team, and they're open to the idea of doing like an affiliate share for the volume that our users drive to Osmosis. So a lot of these protocols see the value in having, especially Thorchain, they really push and incentivize people to build additional interfaces to their protocol. And what we're building isn't just like an interface to one of these protocols, but it's a multi-chain, open source, decentralized interface to all of the top protocols. And that is valuable. I'm sure a lot of us right now know, like if you use a lot of these different protocols, if you're really truly a DeFi degen and you're not just doing stuff on Ethereum, then right now there's not one place you can go to do all these things. You need like a variety of different wallets and different tools and interfaces just to be able to do that.
I've kind of tossed out there the Atomic Wallet. They allow you to do cross-chain transactions with Ethereum and Bitcoin and ADA and Cardano and like all the different chains out there. And you can also stake on their platform. So like there's solutions that provide a pathway to do some of this stuff. And I really don't want to like toss things out and ask questions and kick a dead horse around. I feel like you've answered my questions, and I don't want to go in circles with questions. But I've been very involved with this industry for a long time. I kind of went sour on it for some bit, and I learned a whole lot of other things about just software engineering in general. And I have recently circled back around after learning about DeFi in the last 6 months, 8 months or so. And, still one of the most promising platforms that I thought way back when was Cosmos. Like Cosmos was something that I really quickly identified as a project that was going to end up adding significant contributions to the blockchain ecosystem in general, and specifically because the way that they are propositioning IBC is kind of like the TCP/IP interface for blockchains to communicate, which they've effectively, at least started pulling off and getting it to work and function. I'm sure there's still bugs that need to be ironed out with that protocol. But that really is kind of what provides the interface to all of these other blockchains, as long as they support IBC. And that's kind of, I'm hoping that a lot of blockchains and a lot of technologies support that specific protocol, so that the types of functionalities that you're talking about will be able to occur natively through whatever type of interface. Hopefully even things like what's the MetaMask or whatnot, staking capabilities and swapping natively through a chain protocol or whatnot. Like I think that's all a possibility with IBC through any interface.
Totally, and someone needs to build the interface. So I think we agree. I think Shapeshift is a big fan of IBC and Cosmos as well, and we've been supporters from the get-go. And I hope that Shapeshift builds the best open source interface to interact with all these different Cosmos zones and go between them.
And siloed chains, as long as they support IBC, like Ethereum.
Totally. When it's all in the early stages, like I definitely hope to see a lot more siloed changes get plugged into IBC over the coming years.
Yeah, so look, I think we're all kind of on the same page, but there's different ideas and concepts of how to get somewhere down the road. But
totally, I think Atomic Wallet's a good example too. That's a great product, very similar to Exodus, and I'm not sure if you can connect other wallets to it yet, or if it is its own wallet. But I know Exodus, like they started at it, you can connect Trezor and stuff there. I'm also not sure how. Like I know Atomic Wallet used to use Changely for their trades, so not a decentralized trade provider, but they may have integrated some dexes. But yeah, I think you could look at Atomic Wallet as a competitor. And what we're trying to build, what we're hoping is that by building an open source version of Atomic Wallet that will be able to build faster and be a better interface to all these different protocols?
Yeah.
Thanks for all those great questions.
Yeah, really, really good questions and discussion there.
Any other questions?
I guess I'll just point out that, like, obviously a lot of this is still evolving. So, a lot of us who have been at Shapeshift historically have a lot of ideas of where these things might go, but we don't know for sure. And like even the idea of creating Fox as its own Cosmos chain or something is definitely something that's crossed my mind and I think might be interesting in the near future. I don't think we necessarily should do that today, but it's certainly something worth exploring. And these are exactly the type of conversations I think the Tokenomics Workstream should have on a regular basis to just decide what kind of projects should the DAO be investing its resources in. And it may be possible to try many things at once, to basically try various things, and some of those experiments will fail and some of them will be wild successes. And I think that's a worthwhile way to go. So I'm interested to just hear some of this discussion and to see a lot more of this experimentation over the coming months.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of throwing a whole bunch of stuff at the wall.
I am too, actually, especially when the DAO has treasuries to deploy. I would love to see it try a bunch of things, even if half of them might fail.
Yeah, no, I agree. You never know unless you try.
So true, and no shortage of cool things for us to try out here.
No, not at all.
That reminds me of another, it's kind of covered here, but soon the DAO will be generating revenues, and the Tokenomics Workstream can play a core role in figuring out what do we do with those revenues. Do we use them to buy back more Fox, for instance?
I mean, it's definitely something I would approve of. Buybacks always increase the value, no matter if it's in a traditional market or this market. It creates buy pressures on the asset.
I agree, and it gives us it can give the DAO a consistent stream of Fox tokens to use as rewards if it wants to.
And I like the idea too. What we've seen some other DAOs struggle with is if like they're 100%, like I think Swaps diversified a little bit, but it was all uni. So at one point they were like billionaire, like they had billions of dollars in there, and then all of a sudden when the market turns around, you're at the mercy of your own token. So I'd really personally